NSO spyware prompts Apple to release a security update.
Hey, Karen. So what interesting story do you have for us today?
Well, actually, my story comes from the New York Times, which we don't always say that. You know, this is obviously a big story because it hit the New York Times and the AP. And this is about Apple, actually, yesterday or earlier this week, released some software updates to stop some spyware that had been reported on that came from this NSO organization, which is an Israeli company that has generated spyware. In this case, they found a case where they literally, without any clicks, had basically infiltrated someone's phone. Now, these attacks are obviously very targeted, but basically, as I understand it, somebody was sent a picture on their phone, and just from that phone, there was some malware that was embedded in there, and just from receiving that phone, they were able to infiltrate the device. And obviously, this is very sophisticated spyware, so Apple immediately looked into this and issued a security patch. So that's what I did yesterday, you know, watch, iPad, you know, iPhone, make sure everybody updated. This isn't particularly something that we all have to worry about. This is obviously this, if those of you who've heard of NSO before, you know, they've been in the paper targeting other, it's supposed to be for law enforcement. But the concern here is that perhaps they're going beyond law enforcement to maybe do some other spying on behalf of governments or someone else. And the ease by which they were able to insert this spyware into this journalist's phone was obviously worrisome. So Apple has released these updates, which they're encouraging everyone to download their new software to stop against the spyware. Again, it's not a threat that, you know, all businesses have to worry about. These are very highly targeted attacks. But we know those kinds of things that happen, you know, for ransomware, where they try to get information from one particular person and respond to it. So, you know, this is just kind of another variant on that theme. But clearly a pretty scary story from NSO and Apple.
What update version is this going to be fixed in? Is it the 14.8?
Yes, exactly. I'm just checking on it, but yes, it's 14.8. It's within that, yeah. So anybody, it was easy for me to do. I just looked at it as soon as I got this alert. You know, you just go and you'll see that there's an update on your phone or any of your Apple devices, and you can just download the latest software, the latest security patch.
Yep.
Again, not meant to like scare everyone, because again, this is not a threat to most people in general, but just it's always a good idea to keep yourself updated to the latest patching, and in this case, again, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I think the NSO group, they cater to law enforcement, like you said, and some governments. And I think the real concern for most people where it's being abused is maybe journalists in certain countries that report on certain activities that might not be okay for that government or that specific government. And I think Amnesty International, I believe, publishes reports about this a lot. And basically, I would say if you're a journalist, or if you have some kind of journalist, you support a journalist or news gathering team, probably this would be relevant to you. And you just want to make sure that you definitely click on the update and make sure your devices are running the latest revision.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because it is a lot of journalists. And then the other thing that I think is really important here is that there was no clicking. right? There wasn't, we're getting, in most other cases that we have, they send you a link and it looks really legit. And so you click on a link and you're infected. In this case, no click, just received a picture. And so that also is, I think a hole that is a little scarier. But again, just like you said, I think journalists and have been a big target of this. And people, again, it was supposed to be about criminals. It's law enforcement that is using NSO. So obviously there's some lines there that are hard to differentiate sometimes.
I think NSO, they have these big contracts. They get paid, obviously, to create the software. So as part of that, they're going to make it really easy for these law enforcement organizations and these customers of theirs to impact devices. So one of the concerns I have about stuff like this is they'll always be successful at creating a zero-click vulnerability. So anyone who is doing, like sensitive work, they should probably take multiple different precautions in their life in order to, stay safe. So, for example, if you are a journalist, you may actually want to have two phones, one for your journalism and one for your personal life, so things don't get commingled and you can't be coerced and things like that. So you may actually, if you are a target of one of these, governments as a journalist, you may actually want to take multiple different precautions besides just the patching.
Hey, Karen, do you know how the picture got onto the phone? Was it via text? Was it email? Was it an airdrop? I mean, I didn't know if there's a specific, not necessarily, I think the wrong word's trigger, but driver to get the picture sent to the phone. I don't know if that was specific or it just didn't matter at all.
I feel like it was there in the article. Maybe it was just texting. I don't remember it being airdrop, but I think it was just a text or an email.
I actually read over the documentation for NSO. We had to take a look into this recently, and they have multiple ways to deliver payloads. It could be a text message. It could be that someone has access to your phone. So they have multiple different ways to get you to see this payload. Some of them very, I guess if you like spy movies and you think of your favorite like James Bond scene, anything you can imagine from there, is actually documented as a potential capability. But I think remotely, text messages, emails are usually the way they do it. And I think they have some over-the-air capabilities as well on some networks, especially internationally.